Hello and welcome to another 6 Seconds Europe Live, where today we are moving into our new theme of empathy, our new competency, part of our KCG model in the Give Yourself. And today, our very special guest is Paulina Kotseva, who is the CEO of Fantasia and one of our 6 Seconds network leaders. Welcome, Paulina, to the program. How are you today?
Hi, David. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm great. I'm great,
Good.
thanks. Hopefully you
Wonderful.
are great too.
I'm great. Yes, the weather here in Vienna is not so nice outside, so it's lovely to be talking to you. And just so that people can get to know you a little bit better, just tell us, where you're from, where you're based, and tell us a bit about Fantasia.
Well, I'm from Bulgaria. I'm from Varna, next to the sea. The weather here is brilliant today. Actually, I was outside about 10 minutes probably,
Mhm.
and as- my mission here in Bulgaria is called Fantasia. You already said it. Since 7 years, I'm developing this personal project, and it's focused on working with children, parents, teachers, psychologists, on developing their social and emotional skills. And so we develop educational EQ resources, the first one in Bulgaria,
Mhm.
used in hundreds of schools already, kindergartens and families. And our other field of work is bringing EQ into business environment, helping businesses create value from EQ and from developing it for their employees.
Mm.
That's in short. I'm a mother of three boys
Okay.
and I have a white dog.
A white dog, yes. We saw just before we met. For those who are watching on, we did say, "Oh, maybe Paulina has her dog there." Yeah, welcome to the program. That's awesome. So, I mean, children, animals. I think, in honesty, one of the reasons we really wanted to invite you on here is really for our business community and leaders to think about what can we learn from children, and your work with children that we're going to talk about today, I think, is really pivotal, not only for the next generation of leaders who will come through into our business community and lives in the future, but what about, what can we learn now in terms of, empathy with others as well? So I know you've got a few exciting moments to share. We've got some videos lined up here as well that we'd like to share as well. But our topic for this chapter of time now is empathy. So empathy and education, but just in general, what's your take on empathy, Paulina?
I'm very glad that my topic of discussion is empathy because empathy is a really personal topic to me. In my life, I realized that empathy depends not on life experience, age, talents you have, different identities like sex, nationality, and etc. It is not something you can say or you can do. Like I was highly empathetic for his problem.
Mm,
It is when others say for someone or probably for you, well, she was really there for me
mm,
because this cannot be described. It can be felt. I
mhm,
learned that empathy requires constant effort. You
mhm,
cannot say, I learned it or
yeah,
I graduated in empathy.
mhm,
You
mhm,
develop it every single day in
yeah,
every single situation because situations are made of various circumstances, involve different people, and the way a situation goes does not depend only on you. It
mm,
is all this working together, and in the center of the empathy's meaning is the relationship with others, because
mm,
100% of your family, of your classmates, because we will talk about children and students in school, 100% of your co-workers, partners, and etc., they are all people. And if you don't know how to communicate with them, how to
mhm,
be human with
mm.
them, you can never achieve success in neither of those life areas.
Yeah, I love that what you say, especially the constant part. We might say, "Oh, that my manager's very empathetic," but sometimes they're not, and it becomes, the opposite of that. And so it's something that changes, and from moment to moment, day to day. What are some of the biggest challenges that you see with empathy, maybe with the students that you're educating and doing your SEL programs with?
One of the biggest challenges for people overall, I think it's people are preoccupied by their problems, because I really thought a lot about this. Why are we preserved from showing empathy? And being preoccupied from our problems makes us isolate from others and from their feelings. We want to save ourselves in order to manage with our lives. And we don't want to waste energy on other people's problems. And this is so ridiculous to me, because in empathy for others, real empathy, I mean, there really is the cure for every one of us. Once we manage to overcome this isolating feeling of self-preservation, we start to connect. And this saves everyone. It really expands our lives. It enriches us and helps us find the people who would love to share this journey of life with us, as business partners or life partners, as friends or colleagues. But if we focus only on ourselves, on our problems, it is the biggest loneliness that we can ever experience. And actually, we were talking with you about a book I read. I know about this book from my good friend Lee Keelock, Together by Vivek Murthy. Uh, this book is actually discussing this epidemic of loneliness that is preserving us from showing empathy from one another. And it's talking about how many physical illnesses we have are actually a result from this loneliness. And this loneliness is absolutely absence of empathy. And in this book, Vivek Murthy gives many examples how people with severe illnesses like heart diseases and etc. are being cured, not fully cured, but getting better. They are getting better when they start helping others, when they focus on others. And yes, they feel this emptiness. They stop being lonely for themselves, but they are a company for someone else. And it's a great paradox that the more you give from yourself to others, the more you have for yourself too. Empathy does not dry out. It's only becoming bigger. You just have to open yourself for others.
Yeah. Wow. Those are really powerful words, Paulina. Thank you. And it reminds me of so many things, but one is that I think it's the golden rule. It's called do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do be kind to others, be empathetic to others to receive that empathy back. And connecting it to the business environment, we're all going through this pandemic, and we've all been remote working now for over 2 years. And I don't have any information or statistics, but I wonder about the degree of loneliness. So as much as we can meet online and virtually, and we can do these things, well, what about, at the end of the day, you close your computer, you might have family and a dog and people to go to, but you might not. And just that commute home, the bye Susan, see you John, see you tomorrow, that kind of goodbye you might do in a physical office has now gone. And so I wonder, people perhaps are more lonely at home. We're constantly, in meetings here. And so there's not that connection. That's really key to what you said. This physical connection, being in the same space, having time to open up and unpack for each other is part of that key there, which
Absolutely.
really rings true then, because the thing I think most schools around Europe, they tried to keep the kids in classrooms for as long as possible. And in Austria here, yeah, there was a period of homeschooling, but from the beginning, it was really much harder to try to do that, because I think they wanted to make sure that kids could remain empathetic with each other.
Mhm.
We've just had a question come in from the person running our YouTube channel, which is amazing. So, what would you say about those who experience compassion fatigue? Those in helping professions often report being burnt out. Do you think the bureaucratic pressures of teaching, for example, might contribute to that? Or does it make it harder to access? That's the last part of the question. Make it harder to access empathy.
It could be. It really could be. I was thinking that empathy at some level requires a reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be empathetic forever, because this is where I start. Excuse me, got really excited about this question. This is where I start to talk about healthy empathy and unhealthy empathy,
Mm.
because there is difference.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, because I want to connect with the children I work with, and to answer to this question with an example, with these groups. I made these courses for social emotional learning, and they gather students from different schools and classes,
Mm-hmm.
and we form this group. And what I observe is that in the beginning of every course, there is this chaos. No
Mm-hmm.
one knows how to listen
Mm-hmm.
to the other. No one knows how to see the person in front of him, but everyone wants to talk. They are curious kids, very nice kids, very smart kids, but they lack patience. Probably because of this isolation, probably because of overwhelming of so many feelings they have and they cannot explain. But I noticed several times that when they just spend a minute to be quiet, just to listen to the other, they empathize immediately. And just like that, in a group of 12 years old, we were talking about time spent with grandparents. And one of the boys, out of a sudden, starts yelling that his grandpa died soon. And then he burst into tears.
Mm-hmm.
And all the rest took just a minute to observe him. They became really quiet and they burst into tears too, because they've lost somebody too. And they reminded of that. And they can relate to these boys' feelings. But their reaction is that strong and uncontrollable because they lack the competence to navigate emotions,
Mm-hmm.
probably. And this makes them extremely vulnerable and fragile. This is the level of empathy that is actually not healthy for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I always imagine the competencies in 6 seconds, in 6 seconds model, as a desk of controlling knobs. You know the controlling
Yeah,
knob?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Every competence is a knob by itself. If
Mm-hmm.
one is on the max level, something else is very low. It's not working correctly and beautifully if
Mm-hmm.
all the knobs are on the min or on the max. There are different situations in life. You need one of the knobs to be more volume up on the account of other knob. And the greatest thing is to realize that every different moment of your life requires different levels of those knobs,
Mm.
and you have to control them by yourself all the time. You have to teach yourself how to do it in order this to be healthy for you. When you have so extreme level of increase empathy, as the example I gave you. Uh, you have really low levels of navigate emotions
Mm,
competence,
mm,
and yeah, you are fragile.
mm,
You need to work on the rest of the competencies like emotional literacy,
mhm,
probably,
mhm,
to be able to name what's happening to you. What is this feeling telling you? To realize why is this important for you at this
mhm,
moment. Probably you need recognize patterns as
mm,
well. Uh, and of course, as I said, navigate emotions. And then your empathy will not be on the extreme. It will not hurt yourself.
mm,
It will be healthy because it will help you to connect with others.
mhm,
Instead of leaving these feelings you have to break you down,
mhm,
uh, you can learn yourself to
mhm,
use the information from them, to know why they appear, why are they so important, and use them as a source of connection with one another.
mm,
That's what we are doing because
mhm,
I you know probably that I'm using your brain profiles,
mhm,
6 seconds brain profiles, wonderful tool. And when I use them with kids, I see that every kid needs connection,
mm,
and the paradox doesn't know how to achieve it.
mm. I really like and thank you again. Such depth, and it's wonderful to think to know actually that there are children receiving this kind of not even training of life skill development at such an age. I think we when we're chatting, you mentioned that you do this work with people around 12.
Yes.
So, and as you said, different groups of people from different schools and places all coming together. And this analogy, I think of that sound deck where you've got 8 knobs, which are the 8. They go up and they go down, and usually there's a zero. And so, you can go below, you can go above, and I really like that idea because it gives a richness then that we're not always, if we use the brain brief profile as an example, we're not always rational and not always emotional, but where is the mix and where are we moving the bubbles? But even if the 8 competencies are like a sound deck, how do we create the right environment for ourselves in that sense? So I guess if somebody's feeling compassion fatigue, they may be draining one of those competencies that's really then out of balance. And so they need to assess across the 8 competencies, but also to think about where can they also recharge and have time. And I really like what you said that empathy, eh, while it's an unlimited resource that we have, it is based in reciprocity. So I give something to you. I don't expect it, but I know it will come back at some point. When I need empathy, people will give it to me. And really, empathy is for me is as simple as walking in the shoes of another. But I also like one of the posters you put up recently on LinkedIn. I'd like to share this here, where you say what empathy is not, and there at the end, I am here for you. So talk to us about this because this may be, in terms of business, some business leaders, you may have heard a manager say, just think positive or stop worrying. Parents often tell kids, don't they? Don't be ridiculous. Don't be angry. Pull yourself together. That's a big one that we often hear. So tell us about this chart and what we can do with this in the sense too.
Um, this list can be very long, actually. We all heard those phrases. We were raised with those phrases that are used to calm us down, to give us support, but they are actually nothing like support. uh, One of my hardest moments in life are when my children are sick. I have many, many terrible stories in hospitals on needles and etc. This is devastating for me, and I feel absolutely helpless in these moments. And I really don't know why I feel it so bad and so strong, because all the people around me made me think that this is nothing. This is okay. Everybody goes through that, but I'm experiencing it really hard. And a
Mhm.
friend of mine just asked me once, when thinking of all those moments of helplessness, how can actually someone help me? Because I'm not focused on my problems. I'm focused on the problems my children are having at that moment. I'm trying to help them, and I'm feeling lonely in this. And he asked me, if you are now the helpless Paulina from your frightening memories, and the strong Paulina is sitting next to you, the strong Paulina is sitting next to helpless Paulina, what would you want the strong Paulina to say to you to feel better? Is there something she can say or do to help you feel less helpless? And I remember my immediate words were, I'm here for you.
Mm.
Because we all know that nothing's going to be all right, or at least not now. It's not possible to pull yourself together when you're on the edge of all your emotions. Um, you will definitely not take it easy or relax, but in these moments, you need to know that you're not alone. And
Mm.
again, this loneliness we were talking about, you need to know that you are not alone, and this is so enough,
Mm.
really
Wonderful.
enough.
And I like that there's an element of mepathy. Annabelle Jensen, the founder of 6 Seconds, talked about. Imagine, you are where you are, feeling maybe helpless in that situation with your children in the hospital, seeking medical attention. And I have a memory too. And if strong David is sitting next to me, what would he say? What would he do? And sometimes there isn't anything to do, but just to be, to exist, to say, I am here for you.
Yeah, and this is probably raising the question of when there is nobody else
Mm,
to say these things to you, to say
mm,
that he is there for you. Probably we need we to be there for ourselves, and this is
mm.
self-empathy.
Yeah,
We cannot be really empathetic to others if we don't have this self-empathy to embrace ourselves.
yeah,
Sometimes we need it. We
yeah,
cannot count on others to do it.
yeah. And that's where listening to our bodies. I'm doing a mindfulness John Kabat-Zinn course at the moment. And last night the teacher said, listen to your body. Just listen. And that's, self-empathy there to say, am I facing burnout with compassion fatigue? Or am I, dealing with students who are maybe going through particularly, big crises now of mental health and well-being as well? How can I engage people to share, but also to listen, as you said
Mm,
before, and to come together with this sense of compassion and holding space and saying, I'm here for you. That's
yeah.
really wonderful. And I know, Paulina, as part of Fantasia, we've got some other resources and things here that you have created. I have a short video. This is the Like When video. Can I play that?
Yeah, this is of course you can play it. Can we speak while you're
You can
playing
speak. Let's do it. Here's
it?
here's the last. Here we
Oh yeah.
go. Back there, and yeah.
Yeah, as I said, this is what I noticed in working with children and with adults, to help them feel and use this empathy in a healthy way. I should put my efforts into teaching them to observe and
Mhm,
to listen, as you said. And the best way to do this is through stories.
mhm,
And you know that many big experts in EQ talk about the power of sharing stories,
mhm,
including Daniel Goleman. Our friends from Narrative 4 with their model of story exchange, you probably know it. It is
mhm,
one of my favorites models. It is not actually for story sharing, it is for story listening.
Mm.
And experts like Barry Kibble and Melinda Lackey state that positive change in the societies we are in, like family, learning environment, work environment, depend on collecting stories.
Mhm.
Stories are the way to train our heart. They
Mhm.
are an imprint that has the power to build relationships and
Mhm.
create creators.
Mhm.
So, having all this in mind, we created this resource. We are seeing the video of the resource on the screen now. It is called Like When, and it is a game.
Mhm.
Uh, it is it allows the group of players to create a common refuge for their emotional moments in life,
Mhm.
where to share with each other to achieve mutual empathy, to improve relationships,
Mhm.
to have more self knowledge and get to know others better. And
Mhm.
in this game, actually, there are three very important roles: the storyteller, of course, the reflection. We call this person the reflection, who uses the story of the storyteller as a reminder of a moment he felt the same way and
Mhm.
shares a story of his own, reflecting the feelings of the storyteller's story.
Mhm.
And the third role is the watcher, the person who has to observe really closely and then give points to the storyteller and the reflection.
Mhm.
Everyone actually has to pay huge attention to the others, and
Mhm.
this is teaching them to listen, to observe. The
Mhm.
game requires that from them.
Okay. And so can
And
this be done both online and physically or in
yes,
person?
yes, this physical game you are seeing now on the screen,
Mhm.
it includes cards, but we created a free tool that is virtual tool,
Mhm.
and I gave it the link to it, but I don't know if you have it. We can share it
We
in.
have the link. Yeah. So I took some screenshots of your
Yeah,
lovely
yeah,
online tool here. So here's an example of some of the questions. So I will share a. So this is where I would get this card. I say I will share a story in which I experienced anger
yeah,
and I betrayed a loved one. So then I might
yeah.
think of
This
my
is
story. I would say it. You would listen, and then you can use that as the listener as a moment of empathy. Yeah.
Yes, it has the same rules, but it's a simpler version of the game. But you
Okay.
can play it everywhere. You can play it with people who are not in your school, not in your work, not in your family, from around the globe. You can
Mhm.
connect with people playing it in this virtual version, and
Mhm.
it's a gift for all our guests now.
Wonderful. So if you type in this website you see on screen, factapproach.com/like when, you'll be able to access the game. I've also put up, Paulina, your details there so that people can get in touch with you. Because I think whether you're an educator or a business leader, the things that we've been hearing today really apply to all of us, that we all need to continue to develop constantly our empathy, to think about who's lonely, who needs to listen, who needs to come in and connect with others, and how can we really create that connection with people as well. I do want to show part of this last video before we finish up, because I was really impressed. You know, you are not only a coach with 6 seconds, but here you are facilitating and really living the values of what you speak as well. So it's a long video. We may not play it all, but I was really impressed with the beginning part here. So tell us about this experience that you had here as well with the cards.
Yeah, this is part of our sessions we make for people in business. Actually, this is a group of teachers actually in a school,
Mhm.
and they're a great team. It's easy to have empathy for someone from your family, someone you love, but it's hard when it's your classmate, your
Mhm.
friend, or your colleague, or someone you don't like.
Yes.
It's really hard. And in this game, these sessions we start to do, they bring these people together. Um, and help them really to connect, just hearing one another's stories.
Mm,
They get to know each other, and after each session they really want to hug each other.
mm, yeah. Release that oxytocin.
Yeah.
But just connect. It really sounds clear. So, Paulina, this has been wonderful to have you on our program today and to share your insights. Thank you for being with us. Do you have any last message or a quote or something that you want people to understand about empathy that you would like to share?
Well, thank you for having me here. It was great pleasure for me to talk about empathy. My last words are: learn every day how to be there for someone you love. And
Mm,
this will teach you how to be there for someone who might need it. And you will probably not know he'll need it.
yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paulina. Beautiful words. And I hope we get to meet in person ourselves and maybe experience like when. So thanks for being with us. And thanks to those who are either watching now or watching later. Whenever you see this, please get in touch with us at 6 Seconds Europe via LinkedIn, with Paulina as well on LinkedIn and at her website you saw earlier. And stay connected with our 6 Seconds Europe network. We have a whole community that we invite you to. We run certifications, assessments, and programs, some of which you've heard about today. But of course, we are here just to talk to you about emotional intelligence and specifically empathy today. So have a great afternoon, Paulina, in Bulgaria, and all the best to your family and to your white dog there. And we'll see each other soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye.